So, is Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures dropping the ball when it comes to Saw 9 or Jigsaw 2? You're gonna believe we're going to talk about it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. So, I've had a couple of people reach out to me on Twitter, YouTube, even in emails, saying, hey, do we know anything about Jigsaw 2? Anything other than what has been reported and what we've heard months ago, almost going on an entire year ago, where there was kind of rumblings that Josh Stolberg and Pete Goldfinger were working on the sequel. And okay, this is the weird thing. And before I get into it, I just want to say, if you want to talk to me about this stuff, there's certain things that I know when it comes to the Saw franchise, because this is kind of my favorite franchise. It's one of the things that I cover most, and I'm one of the only people in this community that covers it. There are people out there who know things, and they've reached out to me, or I've talked to people who know other people, just stuff fly on the wall type of things. And I know probably more about where this franchise is going, or potentially where it's going, than the average person. Of course, I can't say any of this stuff on any public video, and I honestly don't tell anybody, even if you reach out to me. That's the real sad part is, people sign things, this stuff kind of gets around, like I said, fly on the wall, and various people let things slip, but they only tell people they trust. So I want to continue to be somebody that people trust, and somebody that, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. That is not my prerogative, and not anything I want from this franchise. I want this franchise to continue. I want it to be strong, and I want there to be excitement for the new film. And the problem there, I think, is because the Saw franchise, and I talked about this when Jigsaw was coming up, but because the Saw franchise is so rooted in secrecy, because each and every single film is built around a major twist. And I think one of the things that the previous writers always said is they came up with the triple twist, and then they kind of worked their way backwards. And they usually start with that really good idea, and they try to develop the story around it. And I feel like that's one of the reasons the Saw franchise was always so interesting, especially when it was coming out year to year, because there was always something to look forward to and get really excited about, and there was no real need for the hype machine. If you were a fan of the franchise, you knew the next year, if it's Halloween, it must be Saw, and we were going to get a new one. It didn't matter whether or not there was multiple trailers and stuff, and it felt better going into the movie with basically no knowledge of what was going to happen, just all of your fan theories and all your friends' fan theories, and we got to see it play out on screen. And more often than not, that was incredibly satisfying. You have problems with one movie or another, and a lot of people had their problems with Saw 3D, but there was a lot of other stuff going on over there, and it didn't really come together in the best way possible. One of those things being they had to shove two movies into one, and they wanted to do more spectacle than story, and it just kind of felt rushed. And they brought back Cariolis, which I've argued in the past was probably not a great idea, because he just didn't really care about the franchise. I mean, the fans cared about the character, but Cariolis himself did not care about the franchise, which is weird. It's like a whole 180, because Saw wouldn't be Saw without Cariolis, and we need to, give him that praise. But all the lawsuits and everything that went along with that in the future, and one of the main reasons he didn't come back until the very end, or at least the 7th film, and probably won't be coming back to any other iteration of this franchise going forward, is because I think there was a little bit of bad blood there, but they wanted him to come back, and he felt like it was time, and they worked it out. But it's not going to be a close working relationship. Of course, I don't know. I have no idea what is actually going on behind the scenes, or various characters who they're going to bring back and who they can lure back. Of course, I have my preference, and I've heard rumblings from people, and personally, I'm excited from what I've heard. I'm very excited, and I'm not even sure if what I've heard is the final take or something they're working on right now. I don't have any hardcore deadlines or ideas of when this stuff is going to start, or what's being talked about behind closed doors. I just have, rumors and speculation, and people who are connected to this stuff talking about it, kind of in the background. And like I said, I can't share any of that, and that's really sad, because this is a franchise that built its entire mythology and its entire fan base on the idea that you didn't really need marketing, you didn't really need news leaks or anything else like that, because it was just understood that the next film was coming out immediately and you didn't really have to worry about anything other than that release date. And everything else was just pure fan-driven speculation, where you had people on Jigsaw, House of Jigsaw, really gathering together and breaking down scene by scene, movie by movie, trying to figure out what the end game of the franchise was going to be, and how the franchise was going to develop on its own, and how many sequels is it going to be. I mean, obviously we all knew it couldn't last forever, but like a lot of people wanted at least 9 or 10 by the time the original run ended up running out. But then Saw 6 didn't do very well, and then Paranormal Activity came along, and found footage really kind of eroded the entire horror genre for a good 3 or 4 years, and we didn't get any good horror movies, or very few good horror movies, for a very long time, as they decided that was the best way and cheapest way to make a profit. And I'm rambling, I don't need to ramble on this, but I'm just kind of taking this whole video as kind of an unedited. I'm just gonna throw out all my frustration with this franchise. I mean, I'm doing a lot of rants recently because there's not a whole lot to go out there and not a whole lot that we can talk about in public. So I'm just trying to hopefully capture what a lot of you people who are listening to this are thinking about when it comes to this franchise. When you build your entire franchise off of the idea that you don't have to market it because your fans know what to expect and when to expect it, and they want to go in and be completely shocked and surprised and everything related to that, I feel like they've learned a bad lesson. And I feel like Jigsaw and its relative success, I mean, as I've argued, it was a huge success, but its relative success to the overall horror market right now, with almost every single horror movie overperforming in one way or another, especially in the end of 2017 after it came out, was a huge success. And we've seen multiple huge successes throughout 2017 and even 2018. And theoretically within 2019, with us coming out in just a couple weeks, planning on being a huge $100 million success. And It Chapter 2, Halloween 2018 was also a major success. It's making me wonder whether they took that success of the film and realized that the fan base is still here. People still want to see Jigsaw movies. This movie made over $100 million worldwide. We don't have to evolve. We don't have to do anything other than what we were always doing, and we can continue to shroud this movie in secrecy and not give the fans anything. And I think that is just the most wrong-headed idea that they could possibly throw out there when it comes to the Saw franchise, because I feel like a lot of people were genuinely curious to go see Jigsaw, genuinely curious to see how John Kramer was going to be brought back to life when he has been dead for 5 movies at that point, and being brought back through flashbacks and all this other stuff, when the trailers were talking and kind of building the case that maybe he had survived somehow. I've seen so many fans of this franchise believe that he is alive somehow, or the twin brother aspect, or whatever crazy theory that people really want to be true, to bring back Tobin Bell and make him current in all things Jigsaw, and not just regulated to flashbacks and just building up and messing with the timeline even more to create other apprentices like Logan, or anything else that they're going to do to murky up the already kind of convoluted timeline, as it were. And I feel like that, as I said, is just the wrong head to go into this, because I feel like that genuine curiosity for Jigsaw and what it was going to build to cannot be replicated. And once you get into the sequel of this film, whether it's connected to the previous 7 or not, you're going to realize that a lot of people don't care anymore. Jigsaw wasn't that good to the fan base where they're going to come out just simply to see Logan and Eleanor and maybe even a flashback or 2 of John. It's just not in that realm anymore. And I feel like if they're not hyping it up, if they're not doing enough to distinguish this next film from any other film in the franchise, then they're going to start running into a major problem. And not marketing it is a huge problem when you think about it, because a lot of people don't know that this movie is even in development. They don't know, they don't care. They're curious, but until they start hearing anything, they're not going to really start setting their calendar dates or asking when is this going to come out or anything else like that. A release date at this point would be a genuine shock in the next couple days, because they don't seem to care to give us any real information when it comes to the Saw franchise. That is a huge problem in my opinion, and I feel like it's going to be the downfall of the franchise, and we're going to see a considerable drop between Jigsaw or any of the other Saw films and Jigsaw 2 when it comes out, because people are not going to be hyped up for it, and they're not going to learn any real lessons on how to market this franchise in the new world where less and less people go to the movies than they did even back in 2010, let alone in the franchise heyday in 2004 through 2006. Those first 3 films, so few people go to the movie theaters now in comparison to that day, and this franchise, as much as I really hate saying it, does not elicit the same type of horror movie nostalgia factor that you have with other horror movie related icons like Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, Chucky, or Pinhead, or even Ghostface for that matter. People do not associate the Saw franchise with the same nostalgia factor as all those other franchises, or at least I think so. We're gonna have to wait and see what they do, how much they want to learn lessons from things like Halloween 2018 or any other nostalgia related movie coming out in the near future like Terminator 6 or anything else like that. I'm sure bringing back Tobin Bell is always a plus. You need him in every single Saw movie, but why not bringing back Shawnee Smith or Costas Mandalore or anybody else that would get the franchise fan base excited to see this movie? Even if the entire film takes place in some kind of an integral, let's explain where Logan is, how he fits into all of this, and nothing is taking place in modern day or very little of it, so you can have Tobin Bell still alive, that would be better than simply trying to use him in flashbacks and crafting this installment in such a way where it's just a direct sequel to Jigsaw. Of course, I'm sure there's a lot of things you can talk about here. I don't want to harp too much on it. I talked about this with Jigsaw when it was coming out, and I feel like that argument is still pretty valid, where they just don't really know what they have on their hands. They don't know how to market it, and they feel like the old ways of doing things still work. And I have to say, I'm not the multi-million dollar, $100 million studios that are working on this franchise and own the rights to it and know how to market and advertise to their fan bases, but I am a part of this fan base. I'm one of the only people who cover this fan base, even though there's still a lot to talk about. And I don't know. I wanted to throw it out here so I can hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about what they're doing with Jigsaw 2 and whether or not they should be hyping this up a little bit more and making it clear to fans that this is coming. Because I feel like there's a lot of people out there who really want to know and would be excited with just even a release date, a title, information that characters are coming back and all this other stuff. Build the nostalgia train and keep it going. Don't put everything in a secret hole where we don't know anything that's going on. Everything's going to surprise us on screen. I'm sorry, the mystery box stuff doesn't work. I'm a huge denier of the mystery box in this day and age, and I don't think people care knowing that a character or somebody else is coming back and it's going to be kind of a reunion special for a franchise at this point. That would be way more exciting than just simply having various characters pop up out of nowhere and being like, oh, I didn't expect them or something, because you can't sell that. Word of mouth will not carry this movie. The nostalgia, these people are coming back right now. Get excited, start speculating right now and build up the franchise that way. I think that works these days. Tell me in the comment section below what you think of this. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also go down to the description section below and go follow me on Twitter, especially if you want to talk about the Jigsaw or Saw franchise, because I'm always on Twitter and it's so much easier to talk to me over there. I do my best to respond and reply to everybody who wants to talk to me about this franchise or anything else on Twitter. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. As I said, it's been real.